Mr. Wizzer's Science Fun. Today was a very special day in Mr. Wizzer's science class. It was Friday, and Friday was experiment day. As the late bell sounded, the whisperers and note-passers were suddenly calmed by the flash of blue, sour-smelling smoke at the head of the class, which always signaled the arrival of Mr. Wizzer. "As you know, students," began the old man, his balloon-like red eyeballs bulging above his little Ben Franklin bifocals, balanced tightly around his bulbous nose, cutting off the blood circulation and causing a large pink knob to pulsate painfully on the tip. "Today is experiment day." The chattering quieted down instantly, the students awed and hypnotized by the uncomfortable but acrobatic position taken by the aged professor. For Mr. Wizzer was now perched dangerously on the back of his wooden chair, so that it creaked and tottered violently just on the verge of collapse, while the old man performed a series of strange and symbolic contortions, and chanted softly in what he had told the children was an ancient language used only by members of the Pooh Fang, a secret gang consisting of 5 mysterious and strangely agile old men, rumored to be immortal, of which Mr. Wizzer was one. The 5 Poohs were scattered around the globe to help children of all ages get revenge on their enemies. "Today," continued Mr. Wizzer, pulling a meaty chunk of antiquitous grime from the mysterious folds of his wrinkled ear, "we're going to make and detonate a 250 megaton atomic device in Mrs. Purvis's class across the hall." Most of the boys and girls were very tired of Mrs. Purvis, a pregnant reading teacher who sometimes gave as much as 15 pages of homework, sometimes more on the weekends. Mrs. Purvis, however, would not be the first to die a violent and unjustified death at the hands of the irresponsible science class. There had been many cruel and painful deaths at L.B. Fistsucker Elementary School since the appointment of Q. Melvin Wizzer as 4th-grade science teacher a year ago. First, there was Mr. Gage, the basketball coach, who was nailed to an air conditioning unit behind the gym one night for making 2 students do extra push-ups the day before. The following Friday, Assistant Principal Joe Fialis had been mutilated in a wheat-baling device during a field trip to a farm in a neighboring county. Fialis had made the mistake of paddling 3 girls caught sniffing magnesium sulfate, supplied by Mr. Wizzer, in the girls' bathroom. The next to die was little Tommy Mulips, who was forced to eat green persimmons found near the playground until he choked. Tommy had refused to take a dare given by Jimmy Crislip to stop an oncoming Volkswagen bus by leaping in front and yelling, "Please stop!" And even tiny Gertie Muckenfuss, a 3rd grader, whose only crime had been that she was both poor and overweight. And some of the more fortunate children said she had cooties. She had been taped to the bottom of a cruise liner bound for Zimbabwe. However, the detonation of a warhead on Mrs. Purvis was by far the most eccentric of the crimes thus far to be put into effect by the blood-crazed 4th-grade science class and the underpaid, demented mystic, Melvin Wizzer. The big, innocent eyes of the flesh-hungry moppets lighted and danced demonically as they imagined the huge purple mushroom cloud which would soon rise as high as the golden Midwestern sun, leaving in its wake not only the strown and smoking remnants of what was once their peaceful schoolhouse, but also the wreckage of the town where they grew up, the charred bodies of their families and friends, and then wisp lazily above the yellow waves of Plains wheat in the form of a fiery red cloud of radioactive dust, which would endanger the lives and inflict with tuberculosis people as far away as Pennsylvania. "Yes, yes," thought little Mary Washington. "This would be the most funnest of all of Mr. Wizzer's experiments so far." Weeks later, after intense debate, the United Nations would officially condemn the availability of nuclear weapons to institutions of primary education.